there's tyranny in the strict sense, so government oppression, and then more broadly oppressive or just arbitrary uses of power and control. Surveillance is one of the biggest tools of tyrants to control and wield power. You need to know where people are going, what they're doing, what they're talking about. Proliferation of facial recognition technology, I think, is one of the best examples of this, where you see its widespread use in many countries around the world and growing use here in the US, most visibly by the TSA in airports. Our Ban Facial Recognition campaign is really two-pronged. We're trying to stop the spread in private or semi-private spaces where it's a solution looking for a problem, like for an entrance to big venues. And then the second prong of that is that we know we're going to need strong legislation around our biometric privacy. We're working to build support for that at the federal level and in Congress. But also just surveillance capitalism or surveillance as a business model. Many big companies are sitting on vast troves of data. It's sold and used by data brokers in sometimes very nefarious ways, but it's also used to power the algorithms that we know can recommend pretty dangerous stuff to kids and others and contribute just to polarization. In the US, just the inaction from legislators defending the basic human rights that we've all come to expect. So many people, assume our direct messages are private, or that it's illegal to harvest troves of sensitive personal information and sell it to everyone who pays. But these things are legal in the US still, and that puts the onus on every individual person to defend their right to privacy. It's wildly inappropriate and puts election workers, abuse survivors, kids, activists, and journalists in danger. I would say financial surveillance. It's something that I've been learning a whole lot more about. It's just as dire in terms of collecting intimate personal information in all our lives and not thought about by most people. It can be used as a bludgeon against dissent. For example, recently there were RICO indictments against the bail fund that was supporting Atlanta's Stop Cop City movement. Their PayPal data was weaponized by law enforcement. Last year, we brought together frontline activists from abortion and gender-affirming care funds with pro-privacy tech builders to discuss the kinds of alternative tools that might be developed to address the challenges a lot of activists face with having financial privacy. Another example is when the U.S. Treasury last year proposed regulations on the sale and exchange of digital assets. We helped mobilize thousands to submit comments opposing this plan that would have forced builders and software developers to aid in government surveillance under the threat of being shut down. It's difficult to spot bad actors and policies when it comes to tech, because oftentimes corporations actively try to hide how privacy invasive they are in their long terms of service and messy privacy policy practices. And then government surveillance is even more opaque. One thing to be suspicious of, as we saw with the Kids Online Safety Act, is a big threat to freedom of expression. Any effort that focuses on ginning up moral panic or naming sympathetic groups, laws that purport to kind of save the children, often legislators will try to hide terrible laws, within these, because it's really hard, whether you're a lawmaker or a corporation, to kind of speak out against kids' online safety. Everybody wants kids' online safety, so do we. It can be really daunting. I mean, I feel fortunate to be able to work on these issues every day and work with an incredible team. We've proven time and time again that we can, fight back and win. We just this past year in 2023, we had some huge victories. We beat back an avalanche of dangerous internet censorship bills that everyone in DC said were definitely going to pass. In the wake of Roe v. Wade being overturned, we successfully pressured one of the largest tech companies on earth, Meta, to finally encrypt everybody's private messages. And we organized hundreds of prominent musicians to boycott venues that use facial recognition, getting a high-profile, article in Rolling Stone and the New York Times. And we overcame an industry lobbying blitz to begin the process of restoring net neutrality, which is just getting underway. It's easy to be nihilistic because, of several of the things I mentioned about the lack of action from lawmakers and from our government in terms of just basic privacy protections. But we have seen a lot of progress. In 2023, we engaged hundreds of thousands of people to stop bad internet bills. We've been sounding the alarm about how AI is already causing harm. Lots of focus on generative AI, but we've been working on AI like facial recognition technology for many years. We successfully pressured Apple to adopt more end-to-end encryption to keep our photos and our messages secure. We pressured Google to stop collecting and storing so much cell phone location data, and we won. We brought together artists, fans, and venues to fight facial recognition at live events. We stopped what we saw as a foolish and unconstitutional attempt to try to ban TikTok. We overcame industry lobbying and FCC deadlock to move forward on restoring net neutrality. We pushed the FTC to sue Amazon Ring, and they did. We secured another victory when Wired rescinded its Amazon Ring recommendation, something we've been focused on for some time. And overall, we're just making progress at building consensus that the problem is big tech's monopolistic anti-privacy business model. There's tons of ways to get involved. As a first step, if you're not already, sign up for our email list or follow us on many online spaces these days where we're active, from, yes, X, we're still there, to Mastodon, to Blue Sky. Subscribe to our Substack. We're looking to reach, as many people as possible. And of course, as executive director, I have to say, of course, donate. Giving a small amount every month, becoming a sustained giver, makes a huge difference. Individual donors, they may not give the most, but they are the most valuable because of what it signifies, both financially, of course, to have this sort of ongoing support, but also politically, to be able to, in Congress or when we're meeting with a company, to be able to say we represent millions, thousands of people who have given us hard-earned donations and support our work. My first encouragement would be to not get overwhelmed, because it can be very easy. Every single thing that you do helps. One resource I would recommend for just a broad overview of current privacy tools, like browser extensions, password keepers, and other best practices, is Equality Labs has a new anti-doxing guide. It's great. It's in the publications and resources section at equalitylabs.org. My number one tip for all my family and friends is strong passwords is key. So get a password management system so that you can have strong passwords in one location. We expect the Kids Online Safety Act to potentially move forward this month, and it's likely to be a bill that we'll continue to oppose, because it will still contain certain provisions that we think will threaten freedom of expression, especially for LGBTQ communities. So badinternetbills.com is the place to go, and COSO is one of the featured bills there. And then just all the other silos of groups that are focused on harm reduction in terms of the content on a lot of the big sites, trying to force the big platforms like Facebook and Twitter to address the violations of their own terms of service, but to unite all of the groups that have the same ultimate goal around privacy protections, that we think we can kind of cut off the data that is feeding the machine, that's something we can all unite behind, and it will protect kids. There's less ability to kind of target people based on their data, and it'll make everybody safer. So that's also simultaneously a focus.